Hey guys, it's Kiran. This week's topic is safe sex. Wow, that's important. I apparently this was suggested by one of our mods because they're in a safer sex class. Awesome. That's something that really honestly is um I can't even stress how important that is. I know that a lot of trans guys have issues with sex, and honestly it all comes down to what you're comfortable with. Like, what's important obviously is like the basics. Use condoms for your equipment. Just make sure you're clean. Make sure you and your partners are tested, or partner if you're monogamous. Whatever you do, do it safe. Get tested. Make sure that you're like actually you know what you're getting into. Definitely try and be as positive as you can. Don't shame people. Like, if you find out that one of your partners actually had or has an STD or whatever, just handle that in your own way. Just make sure that you're not shaming people for like having past relationships, but be sure that you're safe and watching out for yourself first and foremost. Like, if you don't know your partner's sexual history, now's the time to ask before you start having sex. Definitely. Another thing too is don't hold on to your toys if they're old or falling apart. Like, they're not like they like for quality stuff, yeah, it's gonna be a lot more money, but it lasts longer and it doesn't fray, it doesn't get holes, it doesn't chafe, it doesn't tear, whatever. You get what you pay for. So it depends on what you like too. There's a lot of materials out there. There's Vic skin, there's cyber skin, there's whatever, silicone, there's glass for God's sake. It just depends on really like what you like and what you're comfortable with really. So whatever material you use, whatever kind of harness you use, be careful about allergies too. Like, my partner's allergic to latex. I can't use latex condoms on my toys because allergies. So you really have to be careful with that. We are in a monogamous relationship and we have been for a long time now. Almost 10 years. So um, we don't use condoms with our toys because we're only sleeping with each other. So we know where we've been, and like I said, latex allergy. And I don't want to spend the $12 or $13 for four condoms that it is for the sheepskin ones. So that's a personal decision, though. Don't advocate that for everybody. Just be aware allergies, you know, especially if you're using the same toys for both vaginal and anal sex. Like, don't do that if you can. Like, if you have the money, just buy two. You're probably going to want to buy two anyway, just for like anatomy reasons. You're probably gonna want two toys, just saying, but that's up to you. That's, like I said, it's all personal decisions. It comes down to what you're comfortable with and what your partner's comfortable with. I cannot stress enough that you keep it safe, keep it consensual, and just be sane about it. Be like in the right frame of mind. Don't like, it's okay to have like rough sex or crazy sex, but like, be sure that you're communicating. Like, that's a huge thing. Like, be like, you don't have to be like, are you okay, every 3 seconds, but be sure that you're aware of your partner's needs and that we're all still enjoying ourselves through this whole thing, because you never know, somebody could be like uncomfortable, or they might, like, you might lean on someone's hair. It's happened. Just be sure that everybody's comfortable and that everything is proceeding, and make sure that you're not like taking out a bad day on your partner, or like that you actually want to like have sex. The worst thing in the world is like bored sex. Like, if you're trying to like be with your partner and they're just like, I'd rather be anywhere but having sex with you, that's bad. Nobody likes that. Not fun. Not a fun experience. Like I said, just try and keep it sane. Like, just keep it all. Make sure that you know that everybody's consenting and all partners are present and accounted for and actually want to proceed. If they say no or stop or I don't like that, you just stop. That's it. You stop. Just because you buy her dinner doesn't mean she owes you sex. Just because he buys you dinner doesn't mean he owes you sex. Just because they buy you dinner doesn't mean he owes you whatever. Just because the person you are sleeping with, if you do something nice for somebody, they don't owe you sex at all. That's not how this whole thing rolls, and you were raised better than that, I hope. But there's a lot of white knighting, and I'm sure you guys know about this. This is Tumblr. Don't be a white knight. my lady or good sir, whatever. You are not in the friend zone. Don't talk to me about friend zones. Like, you don't get sex just because you are a decent human being. It doesn't work that way. But in order to like have safe sex, you just need to be aware that like you need to take care of yourself, you need to take care of your body, you need to like make sure that your partner takes care of themselves and their body. And I'm not talking like go get fit, go to the gym. I'm talking like you need to be sure that you are tested. You need to be sure that you're using your condoms appropriately, that you're using the right size toys, that you know like what you like and what you don't like. Communication is huge to having healthy sex. Like, you have to talk to each other. Like, if you don't talk, then you're just gonna have a lot of really bad or poor sex, and then you're gonna think like, oh, we're not meant to be together, and things aren't working out. When a little communication can solve a lot of problems. Like, be sure that, especially being trans, it's hard to get partners sometimes understand what you want to be called and what you want your toys or your genitals to be called. Be sure that that's laid out right at the start of whatever relationship sexually that you're having. Like, if you've reached the point where you're talking about having sex, say, stick up for yourself. What do you like? Do you want her to call it a dick? Do you want her to call it a cock? Do you want her, he, whoever you're sleeping with, like, just make sure that they know, like, what you want to be called. So, just stick up for yourself. Like, don't let people treat you like anything less of a man or non-binary or whatever you identify as. Be sure that you know, like, you have the right to say, hey, this makes me uncomfortable, and like speak up for yourself in terms of like if you do penetration or you don't, like state that. Like I said, communication, it all goes back to communicating and making sure that you're safe and that you guys know what's going on in terms of your sex life. Just make sure that everybody's on the same page, because that's where issues arise, is if you're not. So that's basically where I stand on that. I'm lucky that I'm in a committed relationship, and I have been for about 10 years, and that we communicate a lot about sex, and we know one another like the back of our hands. We're really good at knowing what works and what doesn't. So the only issue we've ever had is that we actually got a little too overzealous with the size of a toy, and that was a disaster. Had to return that one. So be sure that you're not overestimating the size of your junk. Let's put it that way. So don't make the return purchase like I had to do. That was embarrassing. But learned from our lessons, got a smaller toy, so that's definitely important. Most people know what they can handle, so be sure that everybody knows that. Just communicate and be safe. That's the biggest tip that I can give, is just to be fully aware and present in the moment and know what you like and dislike and keep those lines of communication open. That's really what's helpful and what keeps people safe. And keep it consensual. Always keep it consensual. Also very important. Hope these tips helped, and I'll see you guys next week.